Today we're going to answer the question that every new egg owner asks. Don't you want to know what it is? All right, so it's kind of funny, but it is the #1 question that we get asked all the time. I just got my egg. What's the first thing I should cook? If you go into any of the Facebook, Big Green Egg groups, something like that, you're going to see that question all the time. Just got my egg. What should I cook? Here is the simple answer. Pork butt. You're going to make pulled pork. It's simple. It's forgiving. It's smoky. It's delicious. And it's on tap. So let's get started. So pork butt is actually a part of the pork shoulder, and it's really serves well to be cooked low and slow. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to cook this at about 275 degrees. You can see these pork butts, they have a bunch of fat in them. There's fat on them. There's a little bit of a fat cap here. We're going to score this so we can get our seasonings down into there real good. All right, but we're not going to trim the fat off. We want to leave that on. That's going to add a lot of flavor. It's going to help the meat cook. This is a bone-in pork butt. I like the bone. I think it adds a lot of flavor. I think it helps cooking. I just think it turns out a better product. We're going to season this with a regular rub that you can find in pretty much any supermarket. It's called Lord Byron's butt rub. So we're going to rub our butt. This is our butt. This is our rub. But what I like to teach people, especially in the beginning, is use a binder. It helps the rub stick a little bit. Mustard makes for a great binder on these things. So just a plain yellow mustard. You don't need anything fancy. We're just going to squirt it on. Okay, we're going to rub it around, and we're going to put our seasoning on that. This is our butt, and let's rub it. We're going to sprinkle it on pretty good. We want a nice covering of it. Every single place you can open up and put rub into, if you can get some in there, go ahead and do it. Before we put this on the grill, let me go through a couple different steps with you. First of all, get yourself a good thermometer. This is the meter. It's a wireless thermometer. It's available on our website. There's a link down below, okay? Leave me a note. Tell me what thermometer you're using. If you're not using a meter, you need to check them out. The wireless capability is unbelievable. Like I said, available on our website. Check it out. There's a couple steps to this, okay? The first step, we're going to cook it at 275 degrees and just let this smoke. So we're going to let this go for about 3-4 hours, just like this, till it hits about 165, 170 degrees. Once it hits that, we're going to wrap it in foil, okay? And then it's called the Texas Crutch. We're going to wrap it in foil, put it back on, let it go all the way up to about 203 degrees. Let it cook in its own juices, let it cook in its own steam. Makes for an unbelievably tender piece of meat. Now, when you're putting your thermometer in, you want to make sure it's in the center of the meat. So I'm going to measure, okay? It goes to about there. That's how deep the center of the meat is. So stick it right in there. And go right to the center of your meat. Make sure it's not hitting bone because you will not get an accurate reading. Okay, like I said, 275 degrees. We're rolling right along. Let's stick that in there. I'm going to close her down and let her roll. Now, I want to address something because I'm sure I'm going to get something in the comments. As a matter of fact, leave me a comment down below. Tell me what you think of pulled pork. But anyway, I'm going to get something in the comments to say, hey, you're smoking a pork butt, but you didn't add any wood, right? Normally, I would add some of our bourbon barrel chunks. They're on our website as well. They're made from bourbon barrels that have been cut up. They provide an unbelievable smoke and unbelievable flavor. But because we're trying to deal with the new egger here, or the person who hasn't cooked this before, I want to keep this as simple as possible. We used our yellow bag super premium charcoal in here. Okay, it's big chunks, it's made for smoking. That's what you want to use. It's already made from wood, tasty wood. It's got a beautiful, mellow, smoky flavor. Okay, so you're not going to get inundated with smoke. It's going to make a beautiful flavored product in the end. So when you're smoking, use our yellow bag super premium. It's in here now. That's what I'm burning. That's all you need. It's going to provide wood flavor already. As you get it and you learn a little bit more, then you can go into smoking woods and different ones and things like that. I know that I said we were going to be cooking at 275, but if you see the thermometer is just over 250, it's rising back up. Once you put the meat on, it's going to lower your temperature back down and take a couple minutes to jump back up to where it was. So don't get freaked out. It will come back up to where it was. Let's talk about the setup. How are we going to set this up for cooking our pork butts? Very simple. This is called indirect cooking, which means we're going to have our convector, okay, or plate setter, whatever you want to call it. We're going to have that in, and all we're going to do is place our grate right on top of that. You can cover the convector in foil if you like to protect it. If yours is new, it's probably nice and white. Put some foil over it, protect it, keep it nice and clean. I'm not a big fan of getting too many oils in it. I think that they seep in. I think over time it makes it weaker. So cover it with some foil, and this is the exact setup that you're going to be using. If you don't have this convector basket, just put the plate setter or convector in there, and it'll sit in there perfectly. Put the grate on top of that, and your pork right on top of that. That is indirect cooking. We are at 4.5 hours, 4.5 hours in, and we are at a perfect, it's actually at 169, so let's just double check it. Man, am I good, 169. Okay, so we're gonna take this off now, and we're gonna wrap it in foil. This is called the Texas Crutch. It's called a lot of different things. but what it does is it speeds up. You're gonna hit what's called the stall, like we talked about. Now, a lot of people are gonna ask, why do you use foil instead of paper? When I'm doing briskets, I like to use peach butcher's paper. That's all I use for my briskets. But for pork butts like this, making pulled pork, I prefer to use foil. I think that it holds it in better, it holds all the moisture in better, it steams it, it really gets it nice and softened up. So you notice I put it upside down because what we're gonna do is we're gonna wrap this up, just like this. Okay, wrap it like a good Christmas present. Make sure it's nice and tight seal. Okay, there we go, fully wrapped up. So now, when we put it back on, we can turn it right side up, and it works out beautifully. Before we put it back on, we're gonna put our meter in here so we can monitor it. It's at about 168 degrees now. We wanna take this to about 203 so that it just pulls like so easy. It's gonna shred, it's gonna be beautiful. So we're gonna take our meter wireless thermometer, easy peasy. Now let's put it back on the grill. Now our probe is installed, we're ready to go back on. So just set her on there. We'll let her sleep until it's about 203 degrees. Can you guess what time it is? Yep, that's right. It's time to pull the pulled pork off. So it has reached 203 degrees, okay? A probe will slide in with absolutely no resistance. I mean, nothing. It just goes right in, just slides right in. That's how you know it's done, okay? So the next step is to take it off of the egg, and you're gonna set it down, whoops, into a cooler, just like that. You wanna get a size appropriate cooler. Don't get something so big. You wanna get something so big that the thing is just surrounded by air. No, you want something that's about the same size, and you're gonna take a towel, put this on top of it. Now what we're doing here is we're resting this. And by resting it, what I mean is that it's going to take this meat and it's gonna allow all of that juices and all those collagens, everything that broke down in those meats, it's gonna allow it all to come back together, all right? Make for a juicy, more tender piece of meat. So when you go to shred it, you're gonna go this and it's just gonna squeeze all out between our hands. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be pulled pork perfection. Our pulled pork has been resting for about 45 minutes now. So it should be ready for some prime. It's prime for pulling. So I'm gonna put these gloves on. What I do is I put on a cut glove or a heat glove underneath and this plastic rubber glove over the top. Now we take our towel out, okay. Pull out our pulled pork, okay. I like to set it in a container like this. You can put it on a cutting board, you can put it in a big giant bowl if you want, whatever you're comfortable working with. Now, a lot of people will take this, open up the aluminum foil and get rid of the juices. No, 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 I say no. I say keep all those juices right in there. Just gonna make for a better final product here. Okay, so we take our aluminum foil off. And let's see what we have. Ho, ho, ho. Look at that. Grab the bone, you pull it out. Let's see what we got. That's called a clean bone. That's, you know, your pork is fully done when it is just completely clean like that. Sorry about my phone. Now there are a number of ways to pull it. If you're comfortable, you want to use some bear claws or something like that, go ahead and do that. You can also just take your bone and just start smashing it like that. But my favorite way to do it is just to pick it up like this, because I do have gloves on that underneath that are going to protect me from the heat. And just, oh, look at that. Look at that. It just falls apart. Look at that. Just coming right apart. Woo, it is hot too. Beautiful flavor. Had a nice little smoke ring around it here. Let me see if I can grab a piece here. See this here? It's got a nice little smoke ring all around the edges. The bark is set beautifully. This is going to be some tasty, tasty stuff. Now, you can eat it like this. You can add sauce to it. You know, you go to like a North Carolina vinegar sauce. It's really good with pulled pork. Heck, any barbecue sauce. Just go with some barbecue sauce. But personally, I love the flavor of just the meat like this with just the seasonings. Tasting time. I know why people get addicted to this barbecue and grilling thing and to big green eggs. Because that is about as easy as a cook as you're ever going to do. It's a great first time cook, and it is just delicious. And I mean delicious. You make this out of the gate, first cook, and you give this to your family or your friends, they're going to think you've been doing this for years. It's almost foolproof. The first cook you should do with your big green egg, pulled pork, make it on your list, because I think it's what I always have people do. And they always come back and say, Ron, thank you so much. That was a great idea, because my temperature spiked, or I lost control of it, or my fire went out, or something happened. You're learning. It's okay. Don't freak out. With pulled pork, there's plenty of room for errors. So make your pulled pork, put it on a sandwich, put some pickles and some coleslaw on there. It's outstanding. So Just remember, use that new Big Green Egg of yours, get out and grill, and we will see you the next time on the FOGO Life.